Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 2 of The People's Cut. So episode 2 of The People's Cut. Look, this episode is really about showing you the first round of changes that you should be making to your cutting regime. So the first episode was based on when you start your cut. So for most people, 15, 16 weeks out. And then most people are gonna follow the first stage of their cut for, usually 4 or 5 weeks until their body starts to plateau. So the metabolism is gonna increase. They're gonna start to see results. And then, 4 or 5, maybe even some people 6 weeks in, the results are gonna start to slow. You're gonna start to reach a plateau. And that's where this first round of changes that we're going to show you in this video is going to come in very important to help you continue to push past that plateau, help you to continue to push your body and continue to lose body fat and continue to get results. So this particular video, you're going to once again see cardio, you're going to see diet, you're going to see subs, and you're going to see a little bit of training from what I do from my perspective at this week. And for this particular stage of the cut, what you're going to see in this video is for myself, which is 11 weeks out. So I started 15 weeks out, did what you saw in episode 1 for 4 weeks, and now time to kick it up a level 11 weeks out and change a few things. So the main things you want to do, and we'll see this in this video, but the main things you want to do is you want to start kicking up your cardio. So you want to increase the amount of cardio you're doing, not by much. So for me personally, I go from 3 cardio sessions a week to 5, low intensity, steady state in the mornings. From a supplementation point of view, this is where now you really want to start using the tools that you have at your disposal in terms of supplementation. So you want to start with your fat burners, your fat metabolizers. If you're a guy, you want to start with your hormone supplements as well and really start to supercharge your body and your results from a supplementation point of view. From a diet point of view, you want to now take a little bit of a cut in calories. You want to take a hit in calories. So usually what we recommend is for your first hit in calories, for the second stage of your cut where you're changing things up, you don't want to drop more than about 10-15% of your overall caloric intake. So for me, I was on just over 3,000 calories 15 weeks out. Now coming in 11 weeks out, I'm down to 2,700. So I dropped it 10%. And at this stage of the cut, you want almost all of those calories, if not all of those calories, to come from carbohydrates. So you see in my diet that my carb intake has been bumped down. The other thing you want to do in terms of diet is you really want to now start taking advantage of nutrient timing. So tightening up when you get your fats in, tightening up when you get your carbs in, restricting carbs to breakfast, pre-workout, intra-workout, post-workout exclusively. You don't need carbs at any other time. You really want to start nailing it down. You really want to start nailing your diet down to the point where you're really taking advantage of the tools you have from a diet perspective to continue to push your body and continue to lose body fat. And then finally, from a training perspective, at this stage, you should still be making gains, man. So you should still be pushing as hard as you can push in the workout. Your energy levels are going to start to drop a little bit when you drop the calories back as well and you increase the cardio. So your workouts now should really be on point. So short, sharp, intensity is high, using your intensifying techniques, your drop sets, your supersets, really making the most of your time in the gym. Guys, let's get straight into it. I'm going to show you exactly what I've been doing 11 weeks out, episode 2 of The People's Cut. So cardio. So what you want to do with cardio is you take the very small amount of cardio you were doing at the start of your cut, which for me was 3 mornings a week, 1 hour, low intensity, steady state. And you want to bump that up a little bit. So for me, I'm going to still early morning, as you can see, 6:35 in the AM, still 1 hour of low intensity, steady state. But now I've gone from doing it 3 mornings a week to doing it 5 to 6 mornings a week. So pretty much almost every single morning that I can do it. I got a lot of questions on the last video as well about, where do you do your low intensity steady state? Look, I try and do it as much as I can, and I generally recommend people do it as much as they can outdoors. But obviously sometimes when it's raining, as you just saw then, or it's cold outside, man, you don't want to do it outdoors, or you can't do it outdoors. Of course, you can get into the gym, man, and in terms of the machines that you use, it doesn't matter. You can do treadmill, you can do bike, you can do elliptical trainer. I prefer the elliptical trainer because it's a bit of a different movement, but the actual machine you use, it doesn't matter. You just want to bump that cardio up just a little bit to push your caloric output, to push your metabolic rate a little bit higher at this stage of the cut, and make sure that you're doing everything you can from a cardio point of view to continue to push your body. And then moving on to diet. So this is what my diet looks like at the moment. So I got rid of my early morning sludge and we've gone to more of a whole food meal. So we got our egg whites and a whole leg omelet in there, with some vegetables there too, so some mushrooms, some spring onion, and then I've got some oats that you're gonna see in a second. So in terms of the macronutrient content of this particular meal, of this first meal, I dropped the carbs back a little bit, so I went from 50 grams of carbs to 30 grams of carbs. Haven't touched my proteins or my fats at all. So the proteins and fats in this particular meal and in every single meal haven't changed from 15 weeks out to 11 weeks out. You shouldn't have to change your proteins or fats. You should have enough space in your carbs to be able to drop that 10 to 15% of calories from carbohydrate intake. So for me, I'm still getting about 50 grams of protein from this meal, got about 20 grams of fat in here and 30 grams of carbs. And in that drink there is my morning sups that you see about in the supplements section of this video. And then we move on to meal number 2. So this meal changed up a little bit. I moved my steak from pre-workout to meal number 2, just because it was putting a little bit too much stress on my digestive system while I was training. So we moved that up, got a 50 grams of protein from steak, got ourselves 1 gram of CLA, so 1 gram of fat, and then 100 grams of broccoli in there, washing it down with some Beast amino lights, BCAAs, and then we're on to meal number 3. So this is some turkey breasts, some walnuts and some broccoli. So this particular meal, we're going once again for myself, haven't touched the protein, haven't touched the fats. So the protein, once again, 50 grams of protein. The nuts in this meal are gonna get me about 10 to 15 grams of fat. So my fats stay the same, the 100 grams of broccoli, the 1 capsule of CLA, I think that's BSN amino X in there, man. BCAAs in there as well. Got a few questions on the last video about counting protein from BCAA drinks. Yes, you do have to count the protein. And then we're on to our pre-workout meal. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of time and carbs. You've seen this is the only other time so far throughout the day that I've had carbs. So 50 grams of protein from chicken breast in there, swapped the steak out, went for a lighter source of protein, got myself 50 grams of carbs from brown rice, and just washing it down with some water. So that's your pre-workout meal. So with those particular carbs, I haven't changed the amount of carbs I was getting pre-workout, just got rid of the fruit and went all for brown rice. And then you got in here your post-workout meal. Now I did reintroduce a post-workout shake that you're gonna see in the supplement section of this video, and then after that shake is then your post-workout meal. So for me, once again, 50 grams of protein from turkey breast, 50 grams of carbs in total from pineapple, as you can see there, and a little bit more brown rice, and then 100 grams of broccoli in there as well, washing it down with some water and seasoning it up with some G-Spit, my personal favorite Italian porchetta spices. So for this particular meal, I got rid of the berries post-workout and replaced it with pineapple because of the fructose content of pineapple, just gonna help replace that liver glycogen. And apart from that, the meal is pretty much identical to what we were doing 15 weeks out. The carbs are a little bit less. And now on to sups. The first part of supplementation, as I mentioned at the start of this video, is you want to start taking advantage of what you can do with your fat burners and fat metabolizers. So for me, my sups start with Creation Alka Pure, which is acetyl-L-carnitine, and Platinum Labs OptiBurn. So this is pre-cardio, really making sure that you are getting your body to use as much fat for energy, and making sure with the OptiBurn that you are increasing the amount of calories that you're burning from that particular cardio session. So I take this before my 1 hour low intensity steady state cardio session every single morning. That's how I start my supplementation for the day for my pre-cardio supplementation. And then we move on after cardio, we go to our breakfast sups. For me at the moment, we've got BioGrow and Concrete, which I was taking the entire time. The one difference now is we've added in our hormone sup. So in the morning now, I'm also getting on top of the BioGrow and the concrete. I got myself some Super Test and I got myself some Eradicate. So for the guys, man, this is where you want to start introducing your hormone sup. So Test Booster, Estrogen Blocker, get up in there, help supercharge your progress. The fish oil hasn't changed, and the animal pack, the multivitamins haven't changed as well. So they're staying in there, and that's what the pre-breakfast or the during breakfast supplementation looks like. Then we're moving on from there. The next stage of supplementation after this is going to be our pre-workout supplementation. Once again, smashing the acetyl-L-carnitine, trying to take advantage of as much fat metabolizing supplementation I can. So Alka is pre-cardio and pre-training. You don't need much of it. So, you know, Alka is a cheap supplement. The Creation Supplements Alka Pure is a particularly very good value for money supplement for the quality of the product too. Throw in half a teaspoon of that, and then your pre-workout supplement as well. So I'm still smashing down the MTS Clash. I bumped up my dosage, so I was using 1 scoop. Now I've gone up to 2 scoops. As you continue to drop down in calories and increase your cardio, your energy levels are going to drop. So you are going to need to take advantage of pre-workout supplements, fat burners, any type of energy supplement, just to help you push through your workouts and your cardio sessions. And that's what they're there for. A lot of people get scared. They don't want to take too many stimulants or, you know, too many pre-workouts, too many fat burners. That's what the supplements are there for. They're designed for when you drop energy levels to help push you through. The next part of supplementation is, of course, intra-workout subs. This has not changed, except the dosage has changed, unfortunately. This is where I dropped a bunch of carbs from. So 2 scoops of machine fuel still in this bitch. That's going to get me my 10 grams of, actually a little bit more than 10 grams, 15 grams of BCAAs with the 2 scoops. And then the carbolin is still in there, but it's reduced. So I went from 50 grams of carbs from carbolin down to 30 grams of carbs from carbolin. As I mentioned in episode 1, you do have to count these carbs because they are part of your caloric intake. So I dropped carbs from my intra-workouts from 50 grams down to 30 grams, and that gave me a fair reduction in calories. The one thing I have introduced, as I did mention earlier, is my post-workout shake is back in. So what I'm doing post-workout is I'm doing 60 grams of protein from Platinum Hydro Whey, which is 2 scoops of Platinum Hydro Whey. Very easy on your stomach, very fast to digest, obviously the hydrolyzed whey protein from ON. Mixing that 60 grams of protein or 2 scoops of hydro whey with 30 grams of dextrose. So I took another hit in carbohydrates here. I went from 50 grams post-workout down to 30 grams post-workout, which is 1 scoop of the Creation Supplements Dextro Pure. And then obviously we still got the creatine in here as our post-workout recovery as well. So what you've seen here is the 3 places that I dropped carbs from in terms of my macronutrient intake were breakfast. We dropped from 50 grams of carbs to 30 grams. We dropped our pre-workout supplementation, pre-workout diet caloric intake or carb intake a little bit as well, because we got rid of the fruit. We dropped our intra-workout carb intake, and we dropped our post-workout carb intake a little bit. And that's how you should be reducing your calories at this stage of a cut. It should all be coming from carbohydrates, and you should kind of progressively cut them from those different meals and those different parts of your diet. Then finally, supplementation. The last bit of supplementation is our pre-bed supplementation, which for me, once again, is the hormone subs, man. So BioGrow has always been in there. The one change here is the Super Test and the Eradicate. So I'm taking that first thing in the morning and obviously before bed as well, which is what you're seeing here. So 1 scoop is Super Test. We're doing 2 scoops of the Isatori BioGrow. We're doing 1 scoop of the Eradicate and the 2 grams of the fish oil there as well, which has always been a part of the diet. So once again, this is just about supercharging in terms of hormone supplementation, really using the tools of supplementation that you've got at your disposal to really help you supercharge your cut at this stage. You're really trying to use all the tools that you possibly can. Obviously, from a hormone supplementation point of view, the girls may want to take the hormone supplements. In that case, they should just be taking an estrogen blocker. There's no need for girls to be taking a testosterone booster. Kind of goes without saying. So if the girls are watching this and you want to supercharge your supplementation with the hormone sup, look at the Eradicate. Probably stay away from the Super Test unless you want to put hairs on your face. I don't know. I don't know what floats your boat, man. So that's pretty much wraps up supplementation. And then the final part of this video is training. From a training point of view, you're still 10, 11 weeks out from the contest. So your energy levels are gonna drop, don't get me wrong, because the cardio's increased this week, the calories have decreased this week, but you should still be training like a wild bull every session. In fact, you should be trying to train even harder now because your energy levels are reduced. You want to try and get the same amount of work done in a shorter period of time. So you should be using supersets, you should be using drop sets, you should be using rest pause, you should be using all of the tools from a training perspective that are at your disposal to really help you supercharge that training and really help you. Because you can still make gains at this stage of the workout. You're very well, at this stage of the cut, you're very well nourished still from a macronutrient point of view. You're very well supplemented, obviously, because you've just gotten a supercharger supplement with all of these new supplements that you've thrown in there as well. So you should still be making gains. You should still be pushing yourself each and every session in the gym to increase your lifts, to increase the intensity. Shouldn't be dropping off at all. You shouldn't fall into the trap of reducing the weight and doing high reps and all that kind of stuff that we've heard of in the past that we know now does nothing. You should be trying to push the same weight, pushing more weights, doing the same sort of volume, and really trying to push through any kind of reduction in energy that you may have. Guys, that is episode 2 of the People's Cut. As always, if you've got any questions that that have come about as a result of this episode, or just anything that you've got questions about in terms of cutting in general, drop them as a comment to this video, and we'll get back to as many of them as we possibly can. If we have any that require more in-depth discussion, we may even discuss them in episode 3 of the People's Cut. But don't be afraid to ask questions. More than happy to help you guys out. It's called the People's Cut for a reason, man, because we're doing it for you guys, the viewers at home, trying to help you out, trying to give you examples of how to cut and how you push through plateaus to help you get your body fat down. Guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, man. Stay up to date with all the latest editions of the People's Cut and all the other deliciousness we've got going on our YouTube channel. And guys, that is episode 2 of the People's Cut. And I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com.